Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dune Productions podcast. Last time, you were stuck with just me, and to everyone who suffered through that, I'm so sorry. But it's going to be better this week, and I'm overcompensating because today, not only is Ethan back, but we also have Zach Hendricks, director of Wild Boys, The Hunt for Sasquatch, along with us.
Hello.
It's an exciting time.
Yeah. Say hello, Zach.
Hello, how's it going, everybody?
There's
I
a
will not
callback.
hear the response. But
Yeah. To our
yeah, that's right.
Um,
First video.
yeah, and so today we are, we were having a production meeting and Zach was with us and we're working on a project we can't talk about yet, I don't think.
Not yet.
So many
yet.
non-disclosure agreements.
Yeah, if we
Yeah.
told you you'd have to sign an NDA. And so, and Mondays is also the day when we record our podcasts and meet, and Zach was with us, so we figured, hey, let's have Zach on and we can talk about movies and whatnot. Today we have something interesting going on, I guess. A little bit different because if anyone's listening to us, you know us as Doom Productions. For a long time we called ourselves the No Budget Film School. I mean, we still kind of consider ourselves that to an extent, but we specialize in no budget movies and no budget filmmaking. And there's a lot of freedom with that. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think no budget filmmaking. You know, actually, I'm doing something totally unprompted here.
Oh man,
Hold on, I'm breaking it out.
what's happening?
This is getting about to get wild. Where did it go? It was right here. Damn, there was a book. Oh wait, it's under my laptop. That's how
Hiding in plain
unprompted this is. I was doing some reading today.
Oh,
So this is from an essay published by, well, not published by, but written by Maya Deren. And this is what we love about no budget filmmaking. I think this sums it up. This paragraph. It's a meaty one.
oh boy.
This is related to what we're talking about. I swear, fellas. Because they're looking at me like I've just run over a cat or
This
something.
is none of us were expecting this.
Yeah, okay. So the major, so this is Maya Deren. The major obstacle for amateur filmmakers is their own sense of inferiority vis-a-vis professional productions. The very classification amateur has an apologetic ring, but that very word from the Latin amator, lover, means one who does something for the love of the thing rather than for economic reasons or necessity. And this is the meaning from which the amateur filmmaker should take his cue. Instead of envying the script and dialogue writers and trained actors, the elaborate staffs and sets, the enormous production budgets of the professional film, the amateur should make use of the one great advantage which all professionals envy him, namely freedom, both artistic and physical. So that's why we love no budget productions.
Thank you, Maya, for
Yeah.
writing that so perfectly.
That's from her essay Amateur versus Professional. And do you two have any thoughts on that? What's like if you could sum one great thing on no budget film productions? I mean, that's our thing right now. So how do you two feel?
Yeah.
Why is it great?
Well, in the last year of us working on no budget feature films, there was kind of always this. Before we started doing that, there was always kind of like this big weight to feature films. Like it was going to be this huge process, and like if we're going to do it, like there has to be a lot of care and pre-plan that goes into it. And we treated it as much as we could like a traditional film set to what ability we could. And I think in the last year with us making several feature films, we kind of have found this way to kind of get that feature film fix, but skirting around some of the red tape that a traditional film set would provide you with. So that's been an exciting thing to kind of play around with, is just the freedom, exactly what she's talking about, of we do it because we love it, and we've kind of found this balance that works great for we get movies we're happy with, but at the same time we aren't having to deal with the stress of dealing with all kinds of extra hassles that come with making a traditional film in a system like Hollywood or anything equal to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Zach, you made your first movie because of the technology, and because we were no budget for the most part. Like, could you picture a studio being like, let's give you a couple $1 million to make Wild Boys?
I do not see that happening. Yeah, that would be absurd. Yeah. It definitely, I think was so great about Wild Boys and what we did with that was that it fit perfectly with the no budget style and take on filmmaking. Just because they catered very well to each other, I think, is the best way to put it.
Yeah. Now, that's kind of what we've been doing for the last year, probably what we'll do for another little bit before we kind of perfect what we're doing, and then we'll
And
step
move
it
on,
up however we can, because I think we all agree it's good to learn and improve in our craft always. That being said, as much as we love no-budget features, we here at Dune Productions, we love blockbuster movies.
100%.
We love those multi-million-dollar big tentpole movies. Some people are kind of, don't like that stuff, and that's cool. Some people don't like no-budget films, and that's cool too. But we love it all. We love film in general here. And I think most filmmakers who love big tentpole action movies or big franchise movies, filmmakers who love franchise movies, what they like to do sometimes is they'll go to a movie and they'll fantasize about what they would have done or what they would do if they had the ability to make a movie in this franchise. So, like, if you say, for instance, you really love James Bond and you're a film fan, I bet you have a dream James Bond film that you'd love to make in your head somewhere, or like in notes, or like a fan script or something in the back of your head. And that's what we're talking about today, because all of us love franchise movies, different franchises or whatever. We all have our own unique tastes, individual tastes to each of us, and we have all fantasized about making these franchise movies. And so today we're just going to talk to you about dream feature films that, we're not going to make, but if someone from these studios like heard this and was like, or discovered us and said, hey, we'll give you $200 million to make a movie.
Go wild.
Go wild, do whatever. These are the franchises we would say yes to and the kinds of movies we'd make. So it's like there's like a 98% chance of these movies never happening, but
Dang, 2%. That's pretty good.
I know it's pretty good.
I was gonna say.
So I guess who wants to start? I'm not going to start because I've been talking this whole time.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't want to take up all the time.
I feel
either.
like I'm starting.
Ethan's starting.
Yeah. I'm going to take y'all back in time.
What
Yeah.
franchise?
So, let me take y'all back in time.
Okay.
To the far off land of 2005. Child Ethan, in about 3rd grade, got to see this little horror action movie called Van Helsing, starring Hugh Jackman.
Oh, snap. Oh, snap.
And it felt like a start of a cinematic universe because it had all these crossovers of different classical horror monsters reimagined. So you had like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They were made a brief appearance. The main villains, of course, being Dracula and his vampires out in Transylvania. And there was a werewolf. There was Frankenstein. It was this beautiful culmination of all these old horror things. And one of my favorite novels is Frankenstein, the Mary Shelley novel, and I want to do that movie, but pushing it further into a franchise, we need to bring back the Van Helsing universe because they had a great seed there. They showed all the things they could jump around through, and so yeah, I would want to take the reins. Universal tried to do their Monster Dark Universe.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
And it just didn't work out.
Didn't happen.
Give it to me. I'll make it happen. I want to do a monsters universe. Like true monsters universe. Take the classics.
What
kind of plot are you thinking?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Do you have an aesthetic, like a visual aesthetic you want to go for? Because I know you get these, you think in terms of images rather than...
I think I'd probably take it less of the action-y direction that it was in the original Van Helsing. I feel like I would treat it more like a Grimm's fairy tale aesthetic. So give it kind of that darker German twist. But not make it like...
So like Tim Burton-y a little bit?
Not quite Tim Burton, but I don't know. I hesitate to say A24. I wouldn't go that far of like an aesthetic of like that. But
So The Witch?
maybe something like The Witch.
Okay.
Maybe like the... is it Gretel and Hansel? That came
Hansel
out?
and Gretel.
Hansel and
yeah.
Gretel. That came out a couple years ago. Something like those kind of darker, but yeah.
Are you talking the one with
That came out pretty recently.
No. That's
Oh,
that's
okay.
the one with
I was like,
Sophia
oh.
Lillis, the girl
Yeah.
from It.
Okay.
Her. And she also played Nancy Drew.
Oh,
In,
callback.
Yeah, callback. Video Carnage fans.
I've
We
changed
see
my
you.
mind. I want a Nancy Drew cinematic universe.
Oh my gosh, we can get into that.
Yeah.
But the plot, I mean, so the plot would be a sequel to Van Helsing,
No,
or like
it would be a
reboot?
rebooting of
Okay.
that. So you'd use that Van Helsing character as someone who's going through these different stories. They kind of all mashed up into one thing, and they could have taken it other places. I don't know if there were plans to do that.
So he's like a monster hunter.
He's a monster hunter going through different parts of Europe, and he's on different adventures.
So he gets Frankenstein and then like
So-
Dracula.
yeah.
So it'd be kind of similar format to like Indiana Jones
Little bit,
James
yeah.
Bond type of a thing, where it's like there's not necessarily one very defined like everything's tied together type thing, but it's like okay,
He's
this
the thread.
time I'm
Yeah.
facing this thing, but it's
Yeah.
all one actor. Of course, that wasn't the
Yeah.
situation with James Bond, but it's
Yeah.
like you have a series with one actor
Yeah.
doing all these different things. So kind of like a TV show type thing.
It
Anthology
could
almost?
totally work as a series, like a
Yeah.
6-part like series. You could run it as an anthology, or you could make them a bit more connected. I think it would work either way. One of my film professors in college, he talked a lot about a series that he wanted to make, and that was about a priest who during like the French I don't remember a specific year, but it took place in France, and he was like sent out into like these rural towns because there were these like reports of werewolves, and he was going out there to like disprove it or like debunk it for the people, but then went out there to find out that there were werewolves out there. And I think that kind of has always stuck with me as like a
I'm
cool
stealing that.
vibe.
Yeah,
a cool vibe, but I'm not taking that specifically because that's like a whole other thing.
I was like, that
But
sounds super interesting. Do you
it's-
know
yeah.
what like time period it was set in?
I can't remember, but it
Okay.
was, I mean, post-medieval, but
Okay. Because I was like, that'd be really cool. Like
yeah.
during the French Revolution.
Yeah, and he had a whole lot of
That'd be
stuff that he was
so
going to
awesome.
go into that I won't go into here because I don't want to steal his idea or put it
Yeah.
out there. But that's a one sentence version of what he wanted to do. But I think that was a really neat idea. So, but yeah, I really like classical monster stuff. So I think that's something that I would love to tackle. I grew up on those a lot. Those are things my dad specifically really liked watching. So yeah, I think that would just be a fun universe to play in. I think there's just so much you could do with it, and you could have other characters and all kinds of stuff. But I haven't worked on it a ton. I don't spend a lot of time actually dreaming up fan films super often. It's just not always been the thing that I go to immediately.
Wow.
But
Okay. So I guess
I'm
Ethan
outing
hates
myself
Zach
right
and
now.
I over here. He's too
I'm
good
outing
for.
my-
He's
I'm
too
outing
good for fantasizing about.
I have
I'm
my,
like, I have Google Doc folders
Oh.
full of this.
Oh, look! I'm right there with you.
Oh, nice. I've got
Zach
it pulled up
and
on
I
my Mac
have-
right now.
Zach and I have some pages pulled up.
Oh, man.
I'm embarrassed.
Do not be. You are fine.
No, no, let's go.
We just have the superior intellect.
You know, I Frankenstein. You remember I Frankenstein?
I never saw it, but I do remember
with
it.
what's his name? He played Two-Face
Oh, in Dark Knight? Or are you
Yeah,
talking
Dark
about
in The Dark Knight.
Okay.
What's
I
his
don't
name?
remember.
It's like starts with an A.
Oh, why am I forgetting this? This is...
You got the laptop
I'm
out.
the-
You should be
yeah,
our fact
here.
checker.
Fact checker.
All right.
Jamie, pull that up.
Oh my gosh, we have a fact checker finally on one of these.
Um,
Took us long enough. 7 episodes in.
Right.
Aaron Eckhart.
Aaron Eckhart.
I
Yep.
remembered. I remember without the power of the computer. That movie he was in, there were plans to make like put Kate Beckinsale in like a post-credit scene.
Oh, interesting.
as Selene from the Underworld series,
Oh.
That would have been really neat.
which I really wish there were more Underworld movies, because those are so, like, that's in terms of like monster werewolf kind of stuff. I think those movies are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And she's also in Van Helsing too, so it kind of makes like a cool double feature if you watch like Underworld and then
That's
Van Helsing.
Yeah. Another good monster verse is the Hellboy stuff.
Oh,
I never
yeah.
got to see the newest one.
The one
but I
with
really
David Harbour?
loved. Yeah, but I really loved the older ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen the David
Ron
Harbour one either.
Perlman.
Ron Perlman, yeah.
Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
Doug Jones.
Yeah.
And,
It's a bummer we never got the third in that, but I really loved it. The second one especially, I think, is my favorite of the two. But they're both really good movies.
yeah.
It's a good series.
So that's the movie.
I would want to do, if I could only pick one, I would do a Frankenstein movie. But if I got to do more, I'd want to do a full monster universe.
Hey, it's public domain, so technically you could do anyone could do a Frankenstein movie.
And I might
Yeah,
be already thinking about one.
Oh snap!
Oh, nice.
Oh snap!
But
Exclusivo.
exclusive. But it would, the one I would want to do if I was given all the money would not be the no budget one I would do.
So let's say
Obviously.
we're doing Doom Productions in like 5 years time.
5 years. Okay.
And we're going good. Let's say we're making money doing this for a living.
Yeah.
And it's going good. Like, you're working on an awesome, amazing project. Like, let's say it's your dream project or something.
Oh snap.
If you have a dream project, I don't know if you do or not. We don't talk about this stuff that much.
No.
And then the studio's like, hey, we see your work. We like what you're doing. We're Universal. We want you to do anything you want, and we'll give you $200 million. Do you take that deal or no?
Yeah, I'd take it.
Yeah. Okay. That's the one where it's like, boy, if there's anything else, you'd be like, I'm okay. But that's the one.
That's the one where it's like, yeah, I'm jumping at it without
hesitating.
Yeah, that's going in the deep dive. I mean, of course, there'd be other things I would love to do, but that's one that's like, I think about that one.
Nice.
I think about my monster movies.
Nice. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Zach, we've come to the first of the Google Docs.
All right.
I guess
First of many.
Get your drinks, get your popcorn.
I guess rather than to keep this under short for, I guess, you and I, let's pick you're the one, like the one.
Oh, that's so hard.
I know it's hard. Maybe you could give a brief synopsis of the other ones.
Okay.
But
Well, there's the one
Go
that I
in
brought
detail
up
on the
early
one.
that would take a while.
uh-huh.
Do we want to do that one and then I think I can.
What are ones that are like floating around that are like not priority, but ones that are like, oh, I've always wanted to do this or that?
Do you want me to just go into all of them, or do we want to rotate around?
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so here's a quick one. I read the Ranger's Apprentice series
Oh yeah.
when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
It was for those who don't know, it's kind of a medieval fantasy type series.
Those are good books.
I really enjoyed it. It was kind of like a young adult type book series. It's like 12 books, but I've always thought it'd be really cool to adapt them to the screen. I haven't read them in a long time, so I'd have to reread them at some point, but I know that somebody has the rights to them right now to make a movie or TV series. I don't know. I haven't really been following it, but I thought that'd be cool at some point to make, just since I really enjoyed that, and Lord of the Rings has already been made, so
Yep.
There's no topping that.
yeah, no, that's another one where it's like I love it too much where I would not touch any of that.
Yeah.
But then another idea, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Star Wars is what got me into filmmaking.
Oh, you like Star Wars?
You mean we?
Yes.
What is this Star Wars?
Well, you see, Chris Pine showed up. No, I'm just kidding. Oh no. But as a huge Star Wars fan, I've always loved the Imperial era, particularly earlier on in the Imperial era, which is why Bad Batch was so fascinating to me. But my idea for like a standalone Star Wars movie, and it wouldn't have to be canon. It could be labeled as extended universe or whatever, because fans will get all upset if it's not exactly what they want with that sort of thing. But basically, it would be set like early days of the Empire, following the hunting of the remaining Jedi. And it would feel very kind of similar to the video game Jedi Fallen Order, kind of with elements of like the Bad Batch and Rogue One, that sort of thing. Kind of playing off like, okay, right after Revenge of the Sith, where are the remaining Jedi at type of a situation, and kind of following their kind of struggle to like hide from the Empire. Like, I have a character in mind that would be on Coruscant when Order 66 happens, and ends up like their gunship is like on the way back in the atmosphere when it starts, and like so he can see his master being killed like from his gunship to the other gunship, and like they go down in the streets, and basically he runs in to the Jedi Temple and it's too late. And like from there you flash forward like maybe 5 years, something like that, and he's been discovered, and he's got to find a way off of the planet, and ended up getting smuggled off by some smugglers, and ends up having to work his way through the underworld of like the Hutt clans, Nar Shaddaa, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because we haven't really seen a whole bunch of that yet, but outside of Clone Wars. And of course we're going to get some more of that in Book of Boba Fett, but I think it'd be really cool to like see Jedi in hiding, trying to avoid the Empire, while finding themselves in a completely different type of empire, being the criminal empire of...
You're like almost describing like the opening scene of Bad Batch, but instead of going with the Bad Batch, like if we followed Caleb Dune instead,
Yeah, kind
like
of
if we
that.
if we went with him instead of staying with the Bad Batch, like, yeah, that'd be cool.
And of course it would end up probably being like a tragedy, just because most of them would probably die. But
As Order 66 goes.
so in that way, it would feel very much like Rogue One, kind of with elements of Rebels and stuff like that, where it's like, yeah, the Inquisitors would discover them and stuff like that, and they'd be hunted and eventually...
brutally murdered and all the fun stuff that the kids, love to see.
it's more of like, I'd want to give the characters a reason to die, because it's like, I don't... because
Forget
Star
about a reason
Wars
to live.
is all
Here's
about...
a reason to die.
Star Wars has always been centered around hope, and that sort of idea. And I feel like Rogue One did a very good job of focusing on that, while still like kind of the idea of hope in the midst of absolute darkness type of a situation.
Yeah.
And I feel like another way they could highlight that would be through the Jedi Purge, and seeing like, okay, here's where the Jedi have failed, and kind of seeing that journey of some of the remaining Jedi kind of realizing what the Jedi were supposed to be about, and kind of eventually coming to that,
That's cool.
even if that means giving their lives.
Yeah. I like it.
That's cool.
Yeah. It reminds me of, there was an old comic I read where it was like Vader battling a bunch of Jedi sometime post Revenge of the Sith. And like there's one Jedi left. And I can't remember how it goes exactly, but he like talks the Jedi into killing himself.
Oh my.
Like, because Darth Vader like plows through all these Jedi. And then he gives some evil villain speech.
Yeah.
And the Jedi was like, I guess you're right. And he just turns his lightsaber against his chest and goosh, like, ignites it. And I know that's not what you're talking about, but that's what made me think of.
Honestly, I
Not
just
that
want to share
dark.
that really cool scene.
That always stuck with me. Yeah. No, that's an interesting time to, like, explore in Star Wars. Like the Jedi. I mean, to me, I always think the Jedi is what makes Star Wars unique. And like, if you're going to tell Star Wars, you got to have Jedi in it. Otherwise, what the heck are you doing? I mean, not that, like, I love Bad Batch and all that stuff, but like, I think there's certain themes that when you have a Jedi in the Star Wars story. It kind of brings out the themes of Star Wars stronger.
Yeah.
Like that Donnie Yen character in Rogue One was like that was perfect. It was perfect Star Wars right there.
And it was cool because it was like you don't get explicit Jedi stuff other than like the very short nods of like mentioning the Jedi on Jeddah, and then like
May the Force be with you. Yeah.
And then like the short nod to Obi-Wan with Bail Organa. But you still get that with the Guardians of the Whills, with I almost said
Chirin or something.
Chirrut Imwe, with Jin's mother,
Yep.
and that whole situation.
Once you mention the word Jedi in Star Wars,
it's like,
yeah. Well, in Mandalorian, everything he's talking about, have you seen the Jedi? Where I'm looking for a Jedi. It's like, ooh.
Well, I love.
You're gonna see one.
Did you guys see Star Wars Visions yet?
I haven't finished it, but yes.
It's I don't know how I haven't seen it yet.
The Ninth Jedi has that. I mean, all of them are about Jedi, which is great. But like, this isn't spoiler. This is just the setup. But the idea is that it's like thousands of years post the saga, the Skywalker saga or whatever.
Oh wow.
And there's like no Jedi around, and so it's about these like remaining Jedi trying to unite and restore the galaxy and stuff, and the ways that they treat like that reverence of the Jedi and what they used to like these old legends and myth. Like there's like, oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. Because I don't want to spoil it anymore, but like, it's like there's so much. There's a the armorer, the guy who's like, there's no Jedi around, but I still make lightsabers, in the hopes that one day the Jedi will come for them. And it's so good.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Jedi are awesome.
Sorry, I'm going to piggyback for a second. I don't know if this is probably, I've heard this from somewhere. This is a expanded universe story. So you will probably say, oh, you idiot, this is where it's from. So just know that I know that I don't know.
Okay.
But there's a story that I really like that's about these Sith on their own world that's Sith run, and it's about these young Sith turning, like getting corrupted to the light side over time.
Oh.
And I don't know if this is a fan thing I heard from somewhere or if it's an actual expanded universe story. But I really like that because in episode 7, one of my favorite lines from Snoke is when he's talking to Kylo Ren and he's talking to him about being pulled to the light side as if it's the same way that the Jedi are talked about being pulled to the dark side. I think that's such a fascinating way to look at it, where the light side can be viewed by the Sith as something that's tempting you. And so the idea of of like young Sith, where Sith is the norm, then getting tempted to become Jedi on their own homeworld.
You're talking about the scene with Vader's helmet, where it's like, I feel it again. The pull to the light.
Yeah. But again, that story, I don't know if that's a fan thing I heard somewhere or if that's an actual story. But I like that a lot.
So I don't know if this is what you're talking about. Because that specific story, I don't know either.
Okay.
But there's two things that makes me think. One is in the new Star Wars Ronin novel, which I haven't read, but I've heard a bunch about it.
Yeah.
The way that the Sith fractioned off from the Jedi sounds similar to what you're talking about, where the Sith weren't necessarily, from what I understand, they weren't necessarily evil, but they did things differently. Yeah. Like, I think it encompasses it in that Star Wars Visions Ronin short, where it's like the good guy of that short is a Sith, but then there's like bad Sith.
Yeah.
So I think there's been some new, but that's non-canon.
Yeah.
And that's been some newer stuff that came out. But there's also the Kashiri, who were a tribe of Sith that I think it was, oh gosh, I remember forgetting all the names. During 1,000 years, early universe, in the expanded universe, a big warship of Sith crashed on the Kashiri planet.
And that's more feels like. Yeah.
And it was kind of, in that novel, Lost Tribe of the Sith was about like them just surviving on their own, because for thousands and thousands of years, they were separated from the Sith Empire. I mean, once they were like discovered again, it was Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Essentially. So imagine living like pre-Revan. Like I think it was around, I think it was a little bit before Revan, where they crash landed, and they are like found again, I think, by Luke Skywalker. Thousands. So they developed their whole like new unique thing.
Yeah.
And that book takes place over thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
Because every chapter is like a new era.
That's cool.
But no one turns to the light side in that book. So.
Yeah. And this might have very well been a fan thing I ran into, and it's been forever, and I'm just lumped it into expanded universe canon. But
yeah.
But that I like that concept of you get that Jedi pull, but it's in this world we haven't seen where Sith is normal. I think that's kind of interesting too.
Yeah.
But that's me derailing from what you're talking about.
No,
So
you're good, man.
shift back on.
No, that's good. Yeah.
I'm like, I have one more big idea, but it would take up so much time. So if you want to go, and then if we have time later, we can circle back around, because I don't want to be ranting.
I'm sure there'll be more we can talk about after.
Once Star
this,
Wars
too.
is on the table,
Yeah.
you can't take it off.
For me, it's no secret to anyone. There's this little comic book character I like called Superman.
Surprise, surprise.
He's my favorite superhero, and I have dozens of ideas. I was gonna say billions, but I don't. I have so many ideas of how you could do a Superman movie, and like different versions of it. Like you could do one. This is like just a small one. Like I've always wanted to do like Clark Kent in Vietnam story, where Superman Pete Ross gets drafted, and then Clark decides to enlist to help Pete Ross in the war. And like he goes over to Vietnam, and you get like the billionaire tycoon. Lex is there because he's like a war profiteer, and like Lois is a journalist there, and her dad's Sam Lane, who's like Clark's like commanding officer, and like,
I like that.
you get
This
the whole
is so cool, man.
and you could get like Bruce Wayne and like Hal Jordan. You could get like members of the Justice League, but that's
Hal Jordan would be there totally flying.
Oh,
planes.
yeah.
But it would be about like I thought that would be a really interesting idea, but that's a little thing.
That's cool. Oh, it's this little thing called Vietnam. Superman's there.
I mean, obviously this like also like just a Lois Lane movie. I'd love to see.
That would be cool.
That'd be cheap too. I mean, you could do that'd be an easy fan film, honestly.
Yeah.
Just get someone who could do Lois Lane really well and have her like solve mysteries. Like I always thought that'd be really interesting to pit Lois and Lex against each other before you throw Clark into the mix.
Yeah.
As like she's like, he's embezzling funds and he's like up to no good, and he's like, what are you talking about? You're just smear campaign or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, but my main Superman idea, like the thing that like if I could do anything like for a budget for a big studio, which will never happen because I'll probably never work for Warner Brothers. I don't see that happening anytime soon, given the way things are at that studio.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So it would be called the House of El Saga. It'd be 9 films. You would film it similar to how they did the prequel movies. So Trilogy 1, in chronological order, is the Jor-El Trilogy. So you're introduced to Krypton as this metropolis, like this perfect democracy, perfect, like, essentially this perfect world, or quotations. Like, it starts off, at movie 1, it's like this perfect world. Jor-El and his brothers are like young scientists. They're engineering like new technology to save the planet. Or not to save the planet, but just like for, expansion, because we're going to be the best we can be.
Brainiac.
And he like meets Lara, his wife and everything, but like she's engaged to like this politician and stuff. So it's like this thing where it's like this forbidden love, but they kind of fall in love in the first film and get together. And there'll be some like adventure that happens. But as the trilogy progresses, what happens is that democracy crumbles into like a dictatorship and crumbles in like as Krypton crumbles, yeah. So like they had this beautiful democracy, and over the course of the trilogy it crumbles, and you'd get like forbidden love stuff with Jor-El and Lara being secretly in love. And I like the idea of like there being no natural births on Krypton. I think that's kind of cool. Or maybe you wouldn't have to do that necessarily, but like
it was a good touch from the Snyderverse.
Yeah, I thought that was always really interesting. But like that might be something that you'd put in or not. I don't know. But I always thought like they would get together, and then as they kind of are like, their whole thing is like, we have to save the planet and we have to save these people. And they're like, and what they're doing is like, well, these people, like, our democracy is crumbling, so we gotta, like, we can't worry about saving them. We just have to get off the planet. We need to prove to people. Their whole thing is we're proving to people that the planet is crumbling because as the dictatorship rises, they start harvesting the core. Things go wrong. Like, there'd be, like, Macon Rao, who's, like, or not Macon, that's a Star Wars character. No, why did I say that? There's a Rao family who's, like, Laura's engaged to, but then she, like, abandons and leaves because she's like, I can't, I'm not going to be a part of this. You get Jor-El's brother, who's Supergirl's dad and everything. Zor-El, and like so there's a whole family drama in like the midst of like high fantasy. So you get like kind of like almost medieval mixed with French Nouveau, like kind of like really fantastical. Make it grounded, grounded in the sense of like this is a mythological tale.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that end of the second movie, Kal-El is conceived. Beginning of movie 3, Krypton is crumbling. There's no saving anybody on Krypton because all the hope of democracy is ruined. There's a civil war and everything. Zod is friends with like Jor-El, but then that crumbles along with the movies. And then in the movie 3 is like racing to doomsday because it's like we got to save the planet. It's like Noah's Ark, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to build this ark to save everybody, and they got the baby Kal-El. And, you got Kara, who's like a, 9-year-old girl running around too, so Supergirl and everything. And, obviously it's like Revenge of the Sith. Like, things go terribly wrong, Zod's uprising happens, things go terribly. At the end of the movie, you think it's resolved because they're like, Zod's in the Phantom Zone. The family's like, the scientists are kind of like everybody on the planet, the politics and the government, they're kind of starting to listen to Jor-El, who's been the whole time, it sounded like a crazy person, like ringing the doomsday bell, like, we're going to die and everything. Yeah. And like, fine, how are we going to get off this planet? And Jor-El's like, I got it. I've prepared an ark for this. We can do this. And so they like, it's like this big race, kind of like the Man of Steel, the planet's blowing up, things are like exploding everywhere. Awesome. They're racing towards Jor-El's lab, and there's the ark. It's like huge and big, and it explodes. Ooh. And they're screwed, and they're like, oh no, we can't get off the planet. And then this would harken to the first one. I thought all of these details out. I'm leaving out so much so too. Cool, but then in the opening scene of like the first movie, you would have seen Jor-El and his brother building rockets. And so then at the very end of the third movie, you'd see Jor-El be like, well, we don't have any of we can't send anything in interstellar travel except we have these two, and it's Jor-El and Zor-El's rockets that they built as they were children, only big enough for 2 little kids. And so they put Kal-El on the rocket, and they put Kara on the other, and there's the remaining Kryptons on there, and they're like, okay, this is what we're sending them. This is the last of our race. And you'd have a thing where they're like putting objects in like a time capsule, like take this necklace. This is from this is what we wear to honor Ra, the god, and everything.
Yeah. And
they're just filling this rocket with any kind of little memorabilia they can with like to help remember Krypton. And they send the rockets off, and Krypton explodes, and that's the end of the first trilogy. The second trilogy is less interesting. I'm not going to go into detail as much because it's like. It's a Superman trilogy.
Stuff. Yeah.
The idea is that he comes to Earth. I know the opening scene would be like, Kal-El's POV on the rocket, like his parents putting him in the blanket in the ship, like the big kind of him in space, and then he opens his eyes and he's hearing screaming. He's like, and he looks around, and it's like a wide shot, and Clark's at a sleepover, and he's floating in the air, and all the kids are like, and then it like hard cuts to like he's in his dad's truck, and his dad's talking to the parents like, sorry about that, it won't happen. Clark's been going through some stuff. He gets in the car, and they have like a moment or whatever. That's like an opening scene, but like I like the idea of like Clark and Lex being friends.
Yeah, that was a great part of Smallville.
And that crumbling, I like the idea of Lois knowing about Clark kind of from the beginning. And my idea with Lois and Clark is their romance is she's older than him. And so what he does is he goes between Smallville and Metropolis because he can run really fast. And they're partners, and they get to work with each other. And she noticed like he's kind of frazzled a little bit. He's kind of distracted a lot. And he like asks her, hey, I need an address for the Daily Planet. Do you mind if I can do you know anybody who could use your ashes? So essentially she thinks he's like homeless, and she like tries to help him because she's like, I'm working with him all the time, and he's like, oh, but he's just off being Superman and stuff.
Yeah.
She doesn't risk. But yeah, so like she would be kind of in on it. Like, so over the course of the movie, it's kind of, again, we've seen it before. Clark discovering who he's how he becomes a hero. Yeah. But the idea is that every bit of that mirrors the first one. So where Jor-El started with the democracy and it crumbled, Superman's trilogy would start with this broken world that as he becomes Superman over the trilogy, he finds a way to save the world. So like where Jor-El made every decision that Jor-El made with like Zod, because they were friends, pulled them apart. But Lex and Clark are, as their friends, as you know, because Lex has to get angry at Clark, like you know, at some point Clark makes the opposite decision, and Lex and Clark becomes friends by the very end. They have to unite to like help. So the idea is like every kind of moment that Jor-El makes is kind of reversed and paralleled with Clark.
That's great.
And everything. So like again, like
in the words of George Lucas, it's poetry.
It's poetry rhymes. So it's like, you know, Clark and Lois fall in love, was supposed to parallel Lara a little bit. And like Zod and Jor-El becoming friends and then pulling apart would parallel Clark and Lex becoming friends, and then that pulling apart, but then coming back together because Clark was able to do what Jor-El could not, which was save the planet from a big disaster and everything, which I think would be really cool.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker thing where Luke is presented with all the same decisions as Anakin, but Luke made the right decision essentially. And then another plot thing of like the second movie, I think it'd be cool to do like a Supergirl, like he's trying to find like a family, and he finds like a rocket, and there's like a girl there, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're like, I think my robot dad, like with the hologram Jor-El, he told me that my cousin would be here, it's you. And she's like, oh my gosh, I think we can save our people. And like, you know, you'd have a thing where over the course of that movie, he's like trying to build this machine with this like Kara to like build to save his planet and everything. And at the very end, you have this moment where like you have this thing where they're like opening up this big portal to let like the Kryptonians in, and there's this reveal or like this thing where it's like, wait a minute. I'm not saying it'd be this, but it'd be something like this where he's like, wait a minute, why is your like, that's the symbol you've been carrying around? That doesn't look anything like mine. And like the doors open and General Zod comes out, and it's not Kara that he's been talking to. He's been talking to Feora, and then like the alien invasion comes in, and so there's like you'd have to do it like you'd have to do the movie Superman trilogy first.
Yeah.
Prequel movies, the Krypton trilogy, because they'd ruin that reveal. But also like you'd need an actress for Supergirl at the end of the third one, and she'd be the third trilogy essentially. So the next saga would be about Supergirl and how that one is like, you know, Clark kind of unites the world, but Kara unites the galaxy ultimately, and it's all about her. Which I've talked enough now.
No,
so
I don't know about the people watching, but I enjoyed that so much. That's awesome.
So like again, like to wrap it all up, it's you know, the House of El, so it's about, you know, Jor-El and his brother, and then Kal-El, and then the third trilogy would be like Kara Zor-El, and then Superman's son, Jonathan Kent, who you don't think has powers at first, but then in a heroic moment at the end, like it's kind of like, you know, in the moment of like darkness, he finally gets his powers and all that kind of stuff. But
nice,
yeah, it'd be, and that's when you'd bring in like the Justice League and stuff like that, and like Green Lantern and like Darkseid. That's when it gets galactic. But
yeah. You can't not have Darkseid.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for a Brainiac thing to come.
Brainiac.
A villain that I really want to see.
Man of
done.
Steel 2.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, please.
Please, man. You got to do like combined the Supergirl from Apocalypse with like the main Brainiac storyline, and that'd be cool because then you get like you're introducing more characters with like Supergirl and stuff like that, and then you also get like, oh wait, Kandor survived type of thing, and that would be cool.
Well, that's what's so fun about like comic book characters is you can do so many different versions of them, and I wish you could do that. Like film is obviously different than comic books because like Superman is in a whole different era right now in the comic book continuity, like in the Rebirth stuff. But like in the movies, he's kind of stunted right now a little bit because there's only been like real two eras. It's been like Christopher Reeve and the new stuff, which a lot of people have rejected a whole lot. But I think that's a shame because I think there's a lot of. I want it all. I want all different kinds of versions of Superman.
Such a dynamic character.
Yeah.
Even though people argue he's not.
I mean, he is like you can have a different Superman for every era and like every person. It's I think that's what's really cool about comic book characters. I mean I mean I think it's cliche to probably say, but like comic book characters, they are kind of like Shakespeare characters by this point. Yeah. Like they're gonna keep making these movies forever and ever. And ever. Yeah. We're gonna have billions of different versions like of these heroes.
Why not start trying things now?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Why not? I mean, that's why the comics are so ahead of the movies, especially in terms of Superman, because there's just been so much more. They've been able to try more stuff.
Yeah. What are your top Superman comic book stories? If you had to pick a couple. In no particular order.
I'm not going to go comic arc, because that'd be too... That's a whole nother... So I'll try to keep it to like graphic novels, but for all seasons, for sure. For all seasons... Birthright's really good. I like Birthright. It's a fun origin story. I like Kryptonite's kind of a fun one. I think that was drawn by the same guy who did For All Seasons. Earth 1 I really like, which I guess is technically like an ongoing series, but they haven't done it in a while. Yeah. And there's only 3 volumes, so I think that's graphic novel. Earth 1's pretty fun. Secret Identity is a great one that I think would make a great fan film. Anyone can do that. That's about a kid who grows up on our Earth, pretty much, and his name is Clark Kent, and Superman is like a character that he reads and stuff, and everybody knows about Superman. They always make Superman jokes, and then one day he actually gets Superman's powers, and so it's like what his life trajectory goes on. I think that's a really fun.
That's fun.
One. Oh, and then Superman, what's it called? All-Star Superman, Grant Morrison.
Yeah.
That one's amazing.
That one's really good.
That one's really good at like placing... I mean, Grant Morrison they were so great at just writing Superman like as like this kind of... Oh, their take on Superman is just like, it's so great in that version.
It really gets his, I guess, character not as like the fictional character, but like character as like, who are you type of a thing.
Yeah. Gee, what else? Silence. Sorry, I'm thinking. My mind's racing. It's so hard to pick.
No.
If I had to say, so the one I would tell anyone to start out with, though, like my favorite, like probably Superman for All Seasons. I think. Cool. I think that's like the classic for me. But there's so many different genres and directions you can take Superman, which is super duper fun.
Yeah.
I'm admittedly and ashamedly, wait, is that a word?
It is now.
I am.
All words are made up.
I'm very behind on the current. I'm very behind on the current Superman stuff that's going on right now with the rebirth. I mean, I've kept up a little bit, like Jonathan Kent with his like him being like the new Superman. I love that because Superman's son. Why not? And like the different costume designs that Michael Jannon's done have been really great and everything. But like, I'm in the context of DC as a whole, like I don't know what's going on with those comics right now, other than like they rebooted Rebirth a few years ago. Now things are different, but it's expensive to keep up with comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thanks. Let me put you on the spot there at the end.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Superman Smashes the Klan was a really fun one. Have you guys heard of that?
I have not heard of that one.
Superman Smashes the Klan. Okay. So it was based off of this radio drama where this Japanese or Chinese family moves to Metropolis, or like the suburbs outside Metropolis, and they start getting harassed by the KKK, and Superman messes them up and is like, no, not on my watch. And they adapted it into a comic book little series. It's like a 3-volume series, which is really fun.
Oh, neat.
Some really cool art from I think it's Guru Hiru They're like this Korean art team.
That's
Super fun. Yeah.
This was Superman Clash of Clans? What?
Superman smashes the Klan.
Superman
enough.
smashes
Yeah.
the Klan. Okay.
It's good. Yeah.
Cool.
right on. Way to go, Superman.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Jeez. I'm glad that exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And they used the Kingdom Come suit or logo.
That's the Max Fleischer suit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mainly recognize it from Kingdom Come
Because it's the black on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kingdom Come is a very
Yeah, that's a great
that's
Superman
oh my
one
gosh,
too. Yeah.
so good.
Phenomenal.
Alex Ross is the man.
Iconic.
Yeah. What? How much time do we got?
It's
That's a
50.
good
We're at about 50 right now.
We probably
that's
spent
not
like 6 minutes figuring stuff out in the beginning, probably, right?
Not quite. It was 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes. Oh, okay. Felt longer. All right.
Do we want to keep
Any speed round, like just really quick ideas. Like like for instance, I've always wanted to see a movie in the Harry Potter universe, but about a wizard in America in the Old West. Don't know what the plot would be, but just cowboys and wizards.
Cowboys
That'd
and
be
Wizards.
cool.
You know what I mean? Like it's like a Sergio Leone movie, except you're like a wizard
got a
in the Harry
wand.
Potter universe.
That's fun.
I always thought that'd be fun.
Just shooting a wand duel
Yeah,
as like a gun duel.
yeah, exactly.
cool.
It fits.
Yeah. I would love to adapt the Bone graphic novels.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, pretty much keep it how it is. I wouldn't. It would be animated.
Yeah.
I don't know how else you would do that movie.
Yeah.
It would be super true to the comics.
Yeah.
But I loved those growing up. Reading those was phenomenal.
Zach,
Speaking about comics, there's one that actually hasn't come out yet, but I have a really good friend from high school, or a friend from high school whose dad works in DC Comics. Aaron Lepresti, if anybody has heard of him, he's done a variety of things. He's also done some Marvel stuff too.
Nice.
But he's working currently on a new series that's like he's doing as an independent thing called Wraith of God. That's like set in the Old West, and it's like monster hunting, and it's kind of superhero crossed with like monsters and stuff. It looks so cool because he's like posted art about it and stuff like that. So
Nice.
go support that wherever you support that. I don't remember.
wherever you support that.
But it looks so cool. So I'm like,
Nice.
Once that comes out, if I ever had the chance of doing a movie adaptation, it looks so cool. So I was like, that looks like so much fun to adapt to a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sticking on the comic book train and the Western train, I would love to see East of West, which is a cool apocalyptic comic book set in the West, but like a very futuristic Western style. That is a neat comic, and I'd love to see that made into something that'd be a rad rated R live action movie. Just go wild.
I feel like going back to Star Wars, I need this in my life. A TV show, long range, like 10 seasons, about a bunch of Jedi younglings who go from youngling to Padawan to knight. And the end of the show is them becoming Jedi Knights. And it just follows these
So like
different
the
characters.
whole process of
From
becoming a
that,
Jedi.
so that little
basically.
mini Clone Wars
Yes.
arc, but you want that as a show.
I want to see a bunch of younglings for the first 2 to 3 seasons, and then I want to see them with Padawans with their own masters, and then I want them to come together in some crossover thing, like kind of Game of Thrones, how they were all separate and then they came together. In the final few seasons, as they go on a big adventure to become knights, essentially.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I've always wanted to see that. I just want Jedi content.
Yeah.
More Jedi content.
I had a fan film kind of similar to that I had an idea for, but I won't go into that because it is more likely to be made. But
We're making it right now. Yeah. Let's go.
And before I forget, genuinely, we could do this. This would be so cheap. A Nancy Drew movie.
Yeah.
After doing Video Carnage,
It changed us.
the gears started rolling on like what would be a fun Nancy Drew movie to do. And except it'd be cheap to do, like we could do it now, but I would love to do it like set in like the 50s or like 40s and like go with like that vintage aesthetic, like, you know, going to like a mansion or what. Listen,
or like go film in like old downtown Portland.
full transparency. Never read a Nancy Drew book. Never in my entire. I've seen a lot of the movies, but never read a book.
You've played some of the point-and-click adventure games.
Yeah, I have. But I the idea of like this detective is, I think it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun stuff to do there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other speed last minute?
I don't know. It's now I'm like, shoot. It's one of those things where I have too many options. Now my brain's like, not able to pick any.
Bond film. Would you guys do Bond film?
Oh yeah,
Sure.
I would love to. I actually learned the other day. I was visiting Canada the other day, but basically, I learned that James Bond is in public domain in Canada and Australia.
Really?
We're moving to Canada, boys.
So technically, I haven't looked into all the details, so I don't know if that's just for like the books or if that's for the movies.
You probably would not be able to use the theme or like.
Oh, probably not.
That's MGM or Barbara Broccoli probably owns that with whoever else.
They'll
But
send
like the
an agent
original
on you
book
to-
rights and stuff, I think, or the book stuff, or the original IP from like Ian Fleming and stuff like that is in public domain there.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's cool. Spider-Man. Could you make a Spider-Man movie?
I would love to. I'm torn. I would not want to make one in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because I love Kevin Feige. He is amazing, but I also want to be able to have creative freedom. And it's like I also want to respect his overall vision.
He's the showrunner of that universe pretty much. Yeah.
So I don't want to be at odds with him in any way in this idealistic situation. Yeah. So I'm like, if it was outside of the MCU, I would definitely make it, because then I could play around with it the way I wanted to. But
Batman. Make a
I
Batman
have
movie?
a Batman fan film idea that I will not go into because I really want to make it so bad. I'm like, I will make it happen no matter what.
I need a Mr. Freeze movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing I would do in a heartbeat.
Matt Reeves.
Yeah.
Matt Reeves, are you
Matt
watching?
Please do it.
Please.
The Batman
That
2.
world is just ready to go for a Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Would it be weird? Absolutely.
What
but
was the comic line, like Heart of Ice?
Heart
or
of
something
Ice
like
or
Heart of
something like
Ice.
that. Yeah.
anything?
So good.
Give it to me.
Also, a Batman movie, but filmed like it was a movie from like the 20s.
A
Or it's
noir.
A noir, yeah, just-
a silent Batman movie.
That would be really cool. I mean, obviously, we're both Lovecraft fans,
Yeah.
so anything Lovecraft would be.
That's
really
public
cool.
domain, though. We could
Oh,
do
yeah,
that.
we
Yeah,
could do
yeah.
that, but I'm just saying, I need more.
I have a movie idea called Arkham Detective where it's kind of this like Lovecraftian detective movie set in the 70s where it's like it gets pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's another story. A story for another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would need a budget for that. But
Oh, for sure.
Lovecraft, yeah, in general. And Dracula. You like Frankenstein. I love Dracula. That's my favorite. One of my favorite books. Yeah.
Well, this was a good talk.
I feel like we keep going on for hours, but it's
I'm like,
It's probably a
I
good
pulled
place
up
to
all
wrap
my
up now.
Google Docs. I have
Yeah.
like a whole layout for a DC cinematic universe.
You know,
here.
we know what we should do sometime. We'd have to schedule this out, but we each go and we develop one of our ideas more, and like produce maybe not a script, but like a really full, fleshed out treatment.
Yeah.
And we could walk through it.
I'd love to do that.
That would be
I'm like
fun.
half of it's
Yeah.
already done.
Yeah.
Shoot, y'all got a head
like-
start on me.
I spent too much time on this.
Yeah. That would be fun to do at some point, and we'll do. Oh, Baby Yoda's going off. You touched its head.
Baby Yoda, what are you doing? It's possessed.
I know. We'll have to do that. Like, we could do one episode per idea. So, like, one episode's Ethan's idea,
Yeah.
one's yours idea, and one's mine's idea. That'd be good.
All right. Coming 2022, perhaps.
Yeah, probably. Not for a bit. We'll have to spend time working on it. But,
Yeah, that those would be longer film or longer videos.
yeah.
Ones.
Yeah. Let's leave the folks with, is there a movie recommendation? Because I feel like
From us.
Yeah,
in
just
general?
from us. Just in general. We've talked about movies that would be awesome if they existed, but now we've probably gotten them all excited and just wanting to watch something.
Yeah.
Let's give them something. What's a movie that they should watch?
I just saw The Empty Man last night,
Uh-huh.
which is a 2020 film streaming on HBO Max right now. And I went into it knowing nothing. Reading the synopsis was the only thing I did ahead of time. And that movie was incredible. I went in with low expectations, if I'm honest. And it was probably one of the best horror movies I've seen in the last 5 years.
Nice.
Yeah, just so good. Does a lot of things that most horror movies I feel like kind of trip up on, and it handled them beautifully. And yeah, just a really engaging movie. And it's one of those ones that when I was done watching it, I'm like, I gotta see that again to get it. But I felt good in the fact I didn't understand all of it.
Yeah.
Just a phenomenal movie.
All right.
So go check out Empty Man.
Zach,
Ooh.
what have you seen?
Recently, I think the last thing I watched in theaters was Dune, but you guys already covered that a couple weeks ago, so. But yeah, go see Dune if you haven't, and see it in theaters if you feel comfortable doing so, because it is
It's an experience.
quite the experience. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like being in a massage chair with the bass rumbling that entire time.
It's a good place to take a nap, I hear.
Yeah, and have a fever dream. I saw a movie called Ramekins 2. Ramekin 2. I don't think it's out yet, but Cody, our friend Cody Clark, he sent me a link.
Me too.
Sent us a link. I watched it.
I have yet to watch it.
You have yet
I was
to
planning
watch
to
it.
watch it tonight because I thought this meeting wouldn't go as late. But I
it's
might
been a
have
long
time
meeting.
tonight.
Oh wow.
It's only 90 minutes.
Okay.
It's a short and sweet. It's very good. I liked it a lot. But I guess that didn't answer the question, because that's not a movie most people can see. The first 20 minutes are out. Check out the first 20 minutes. But I saw I'm blanking on it on whatever. Well, this is an old movie, but I saw a Paranorman.
Oh yeah.
Again.
Paranorman's good.
Yeah.
I like Paranorman a lot.
Fun Leica movie. Very
my
good.
Second favorite Leica movie.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Very good.
You said old movies, and I remembered one more that I'm sure most film heads have seen. But if anyone who is listening has not seen this movie, definitely go see it. It's probably one of my favorite movies that I saw in film school thus far, and that would be Double Indemnity.
Oh, the noir movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I took a whole course focused on noir movies, and that was the first one we watched.
Nice.
And it's incredible.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's fun. Well,
Good stuff.
thank you everyone for listening to us ramble for an hour or however long it's been.
Yeah.
We appreciate your viewership. And if you want to, we've talked a lot about movies we'd love to make if we could, but probably won't. You can check out movies that we have made, and you can follow us on movies that we will make. So head on over to our YouTube channel, Doomed Productions, hit subscribe, check out our feature films that we've made, and follow us on all the social medias, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We're all over the place. Follow us for updates on our upcoming movies that you can see from us. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next one.